Co-sponsor of the Senate's Cut, Cap, and Balance Act, Senator Rand Paul. Senator, good to have you here. You say the president's being disingenuous. In what respect?
Well, I think if he were a true leader, he would take default off the table. He can take it off the table at any time, reassure the marketplace that he will pay the interest on the debt. We bring in $200 billion a month. Our interest payment is about $20 billion a month. It varies a little from month to month, but we have plenty of tax revenue to pay the interest, and then we could come to a compromise. In fact, we've offered him a compromise. We, the Republicans, the conservatives, have said we'll raise the debt ceiling if you pass a balanced budget amendment because we want real reform.
Cut, cap, and balance, and we should be, I should be clear on this, that when we talk about balancing the budget, that amendment requiring 2/3 vote, it would be approved by the House and the Senate, obviously, before going to the president for a signature, but no balanced budget amendment would go into effect until 2/3 of the states would be prepared to vote, correct?
Well, yeah, it has to go to the states, and we estimate it'd take about 2 years. It doesn't have to go to the president, interestingly enough.
Right.
We don't do amendments very often, but it won't have to go to the president. But then it goes to the states. When 3/4 of the states pass it, then it's an amendment. We figure it'd take maybe a 2-year period, and then the amendment itself actually gives 5 years to balance. So it's about a 7 to 8 year plan to balance the budget. And for goodness sakes, can we not balance our budget in 7 to 8 years?
Yeah, that's I think in the minds of most people a fair and rational run-up time to creating that result. That is a constitutional amendment, gives a great amount of time for public debate and discussion. The president has said he can't guarantee older Americans are dependent on Social Security, their checks on August 3rd. He has said that this is a catastrophe in the debt ceiling negotiations. Let me just show you what the latest Fox News poll as of today shows the American people say. Economic catastrophe. Would it be an economic catastrophe, or were the debt ceiling not to be raised? 39% say yes, indeed, agreeing with Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner that it would be. But as you can see there, 55% of American surveys say that it is an exaggeration, which is support for precisely the view that you've articulated on the debt ceiling.
Well, this is why I think the president ought to apologize to the American people, because he's politicizing things that people have grown accustomed to and depend upon, like Social Security checks. So he's threatening not to send them out, but if the Social Security checks didn't come out, that would be his fault for not sending them out. We bring in $200 billion in revenue, plenty to pay the interest on the debt, plenty to pay for Social Security, plenty to pay for soldiers' salaries, things we should never default on, and we are obligated to. What it would do is force a debate on the 30% of government we don't have money for and that we borrow from China each year. So he has to decide that he wants to really take us on a debate over balancing the budget. I think the American people are with us.
Your forecast on passage in the Senate, likelihood or whether it's unlikely?
Well, we were excited last night. The House passed this with 234 votes, including some Democrats. We're going to stick around this weekend because we think this is a serious problem. There'll be a vote on Saturday. Our goal over the next couple of days, we think we have maybe all 47 Republicans. We're not sure, but we're trying to get some Democrats on board and see if we can pass this.
Senator, you said the American people are with you. As you know, your father isn't. He voted against cut, cap, and balance. Your thoughts?
Well, now, Lou, that's just mean. You're pitting me against my dad. How am I supposed to do that? He might not invite me. He might not invite me over for Thanksgiving if I say something bad. What I would say is we do agree that there's been too much debt, and we can't just keep raising the debt ceiling. Where we have a small disagreement is, I think a balanced budget would go a long way towards fixing the problem. His worry is that, like so many other rules in Washington, Congress would disobey the rules and get away around the balanced budget amendment. So his concern is the debt ceiling would encourage them to spend more money. I think there has to be some change from the way we have, and that the balanced budget could be the answer. So, but I think we agree on ultimate purposes that we shouldn't have endless debt added, but we have a minor disagreement in how to get there.
I'm sure your father is proud of the way in which you postured that. Senator, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Lou.
Senator Rand Paul.